The folded paper wedged under his windshield wiper was pink, the kind with cartoon unicorns printed along the edges. Marcus Steele. Chen pulled it free with his scarred fingers, glancing around the grocery store parking lot in Riverside Falls. His custom chopper sat gleaming in the afternoon sun, the Desert Viper's MC patch prominent on its tank. The handwriting was wobbly, careful, the letters big and uneven like someone had pressed hard with their pencil. Dear biker man with the dragon bike, my mom works at the diner, and she comes home with new bruises every week. Her boyfriend, Rick, is mean. She says she fell, but I'm 9, and I'm not stupid. She's scared all the time now. Can you help? Nobody listens to kids, but maybe you will. From Lily. P.S. Your motorcycle is so cool. Marcus read it twice, his jaw tightening with each word. 23 years riding with the Vipers. 15 years before that in the Marines, and he'd never gotten a note like this from a child. Steele, you coming or what? His riding brother, Danny Chains Rodriguez, emerged from the store carrying 2 six-packs. He stopped when he saw Marcus's expression. What's wrong? Marcus handed him the note. Chains read it, his easy smile disappearing. Kid left this? On my bike. They stood in silence for a moment. At 48, Marcus had seen enough violence to last several lifetimes. He'd promised himself when he retired from the Corps that he was done playing hero, done sticking his neck out, done getting involved in other people's problems. But that was before a 9-year-old girl wedged between his windshield wiper a plea for help written on unicorn stationery. Could be nothing, Chains offered, but his tone said he didn't believe it. Kids exaggerate. Could be? Marcus folded the note carefully, tucking it into his vest pocket. Or it could be a little girl watching her mother get beaten, and nobody's doing a damn thing about it. Chains studied his friend. They'd served together in Fallujah, bled together, saved each other's lives more times than either could count. He knew that look in Marcus's eyes. You want to check it out? It wasn't a question. Marcus looked across the parking lot toward Main Street, where Betty's Diner sat on the corner with its neon sign and checkered curtains. He'd eaten there a dozen times. Good coffee, decent pie, friendly waitresses who didn't bat an eye at bikers. I want to know if that kid's right, Marcus said quietly. And if she is, I want to make sure she and her mom are safe. Chains cracked his knuckles. Then let's go get some pie. Jennifer Hayes was exhausted. Not the kind of tired that sleep could fix, but the soul-deep exhaustion that came from constantly walking on eggshells, constantly calculating how to avoid the next explosion. She wiped down table 6 at Betty's Diner, her movements automatic after 5 years of waitressing. Her ribs ached where Rick had shoved her into the bathroom sink that morning. An accident, she'd told herself. He'd been hung over, hadn't meant to push so hard. The lies were getting easier to tell. That terrified her most of all. Mom! Lily appeared from the kitchen where she'd been doing homework at the prep table, her backpack bouncing. Can I have $1 for the vending machine? Sure, baby. Jennifer dug into her apron pocket, trying not to wince as the movement pulled at her bruised ribs. She saw Lily's eyes narrow, watching too closely, and force a smile. Here you go. You're hurt again. Lily's voice was flat, accusing. I'm fine, sweetie. Just clumsy. You're not clumsy. Lily crossed her arms, and Jennifer's heart broke at how adult her 9-year-old looked. Rick hurt you. Lily, that's not... I'm not a baby, Mom. I see things. Her daughter's voice cracked. Why won't you leave him? Because he said he'd find me if I tried. Because he controls all the money. Because I'm so tired I can barely think straight, let alone plan an escape. It's complicated, honey. It's not complicated. He's mean and you deserve better. Lily grabbed her dollar and stalked toward the vending machine, her small shoulders rigid with frustration. Jennifer turned back to wiping tables, blinking back tears. She didn't notice the 2 bikers who just walked in, or the way one of them was watching her with the focused intensity of a man taking inventory of every bruise, every flinch, every forced smile. Marcus ordered coffee and pie at the counter, but his attention was on the dark-haired waitress moving between tables. Jennifer Hayes, according to her name tag, mid-30s, pretty in a worn-down kind of way, with shadows under her eyes that spoke of too little sleep and too much stress, and bruises, fading yellow-green ones on her forearms, a darker one peeking out from under her collar. The careful way she moved suggested more hidden beneath her uniform. "That's her," Chains murmured, stirring sugar into his coffee. "The mom." Marcus watched as a small girl with dark braids approached Jennifer, handing her something. They had the same eyes, the same stubborn set to their chins. The girl pointed at Jennifer's arm, clearly asking about the bruises, and Jennifer's smile was all practiced reassurance and hidden pain. The girl, Lily had to be, turned away with an expression far too knowing for 9 years old. She caught Marcus watching and froze. For a moment, they just looked at each other across the diner. Then Lily's face transformed, recognition lighting her eyes. She glanced at the windows where Marcus's chopper was visible, the dragon paint job unmistakable. She mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." Then she grabbed her backpack and disappeared into the bathroom before Marcus could respond. "Kid, recognize your bike." Chains observed. "Yeah." Marcus's coffee had gone cold in his cup. "She's the one who wrote the note." "So what's the play?" Marcus watched Jennifer refill a customer's water glass, watched the way she automatically positioned herself with her back to the wall, always aware of exits. He'd seen that hypervigilance before in combat zones, in people who'd learned that danger could come from any direction at any moment. "We watch," he said finally. "We document. We build a case so solid that when we move, there's no way this Rick bastard can wriggle out of it. And if he hurts her again before we're ready..." Marcus's hand tightened around his coffee mug until his knuckles went white. "Then we adjust our timeline." Over the next week, Marcus became intimately familiar with Jennifer Hayes' routine. She worked the morning shift at Betty's, 6 days a week, picked Lily up from Riverside Elementary at 3:15, stopped at the grocery store every Wednesday, went home to a small rental house on Oak Street where Rick Donovan, 39, construction worker, 2 priors for assault, lived rent-free and controlled every aspect of her life. Marcus watched Rick grab Jennifer's arm hard enough to leave fingerprints because dinner wasn't ready on time. Watched him back her against the kitchen counter, his face inches from hers, while she stood frozen like a rabbit facing a wolf. Watched her cry in the bathroom while Lily sat in her room with headphones on. Tried to block out another fight. He documented everything. Photos, videos, times and dates. Chains helped, rotating surveillance, so Jennifer wouldn't notice the same bike parked down her street every night. On day 6, Marcus was ready to say screw the documentation and handle Rick the old-fashioned way. But then Lily appeared at his bike again. It was after school, 3:30 on a Tuesday. Marcus was parked across from the elementary school, watching for Jennifer's car, when small footsteps approached. "You came back." Lily stood beside his chopper, clutching her backpack straps. Up close, she was smaller than he'd thought, with wireframe glasses slightly crooked on her nose. "I wasn't sure you would." Marcus crouched down, making himself less intimidating. "I told you I'd help, didn't I? Adults say a lot of things they don't mean." Her voice was old, bitter. "My mom's boyfriend says he loves her right before he hurts her." The casual way she said it made Marcus's blood run cold. "That's not love, kid. That's not even close." "I know." Lily pushed her glasses up. "That's why I left you the note. Mom won't leave him. She's scared. She thinks she can't do it alone." "Why'd you pick me?" Marcus asked. "There's cops, teachers, your mom's friends." "I told my teacher. She said I shouldn't make up stories." Lily's jaw clenched. "I told my grandma. She said Mom just needs to try harder to make him happy. I even called the police once, but Rick was all nice and charming when they showed up, and Mom said everything was fine." "So you put a note on a stranger's motorcycle. You're not a stranger. You come to the diner sometimes. You're always nice to Mom. You tip good." She studied his face with unsettling intensity. "And you look like someone who keeps promises." Marcus's throat tightened. "I am. And I promise you, Lily, we're going to help your mom. But I need you to trust me and be patient. Can you do that?" "How long?" "Soon. Very soon." Lily considered this, then nodded. Okay, but hurry. Last night was bad. Mom locked herself in the bathroom for 2 hours. I heard her crying. She walked away before Marcus could respond. Climbing into Jennifer's car when it pulled up, Jennifer looked exhausted, her smile for Lily not reaching her eyes. Marcus pulled out his phone and called Chains. It's time. Tonight. You sure? That little girl just told me last night was bad, and I can see fresh bruises on Jennifer's neck from here. His voice was granite. We're done watching. Tonight we move. Rick Donovan stumbled through the door at 7:30, already drunk, looking for a fight. Jennifer knew the signs. The slight sway in his walk, the mean twist of his mouth, the way his hands flexed and unflexed, looking for something to hit. Where's dinner? He didn't ask, demanded. 10 minutes. I had to help Lily with. I don't give a shit about her homework. Rick moved into the kitchen, backing Jennifer against the sink. I work all day. Least you can do is have food ready. Jennifer's heart hammered. She'd seen this pattern 100 times. First the complaints, then the accusations, then the hands. I'm sorry. It'll be ready soon. Always sorry. Never good enough. His hand shot out, grabbing her throat. Not squeezing but holding, a reminder of how easily he could hurt her. Maybe you need another lesson about respect. The doorbell rang. They both froze. Rick's grip loosened slightly. You expecting someone? No. The doorbell rang again, followed by heavy knocking. Stay here. Rick moved toward the door, yanking it open. What? 2 massive men in leather vests stood on the porch. The taller one, Asian features, dragon tattoo crawling up his neck, smiled, but his eyes were cold as January. Rick Donovan? I'm Marcus Chen. This is Danny Rodriguez. We need to talk about your situation with Jennifer Hayes. Rick's confusion turned to anger. I don't know you. Get the hell off my property. See, here's the thing. Marcus's voice was conversational, almost friendly. We've been watching your house for a week. We've documented 9 incidents of physical assault, verbal abuse, and intimidation. And tonight, we watched you grab Jennifer's throat through that window right there. He pointed. Rick's face went purple. You can't. That's illegal surveillance. Know what else is illegal? Chains pulled out his phone. Domestic violence. Assault. Battery. We've got hours of footage. Rick. Timestamps. Photos of bruises. Even got a statement from a very concerned 9-year-old girl who's been watching her mom get beaten for months. Jennifer appeared in the doorway, her hand at her throat. These men have been watching? You need to step outside, Rick, Marcus said. His tone hadn't changed, but something in it made Jennifer's skin prickle. Away from Jennifer. Right now. Or what? Or we send every piece of evidence we've collected to police, your employer, your family, and every social media account we can find. Marcus's smile never wavered. Your choice. Come outside and talk like an adult, or become Riverside Falls' most famous domestic abuser by morning. For a moment, Rick looked like he might swing at Marcus. Then something in the biker's expression, the absolute certainty that he'd welcome an excuse to hit back, made Rick reconsider. He stepped onto the porch, pulling the door mostly closed behind him. Marcus looked at Jennifer. Lock the door. Call a friend. We'll handle this. Who are you? Jennifer's voice shook. Your daughter left me a note, Marcus said gently. Asked me to help. So that's what we're doing. He turned back to Rick, and his expression shifted from gentle to something far more dangerous. 20 minutes later, Rick threw clothes into a duffel bag, not meeting Jennifer's eyes. Marcus and Chen stood in the living room, silent sentinels making sure he didn't try anything. I'll need my stuff, Rick started. You'll get your stuff when Jennifer says you can, Marcus interrupted. For now, you're leaving with what you can carry. And Rick, he stepped closer, his voice dropping. If you ever come near Jennifer or Lily again, if you so much as drive past this house, every piece of evidence we collected goes public. The assault charges, the threats, all of it. Do you understand? Rick's jaw worked, but he nodded. Say it. I understand. Good. Get out. Rick grabbed his bag and left without another word. His truck peeled out of the driveway with a squeal of tires. Silence filled the house. Jennifer stood in the middle of her living room, shaking, unable to process what had just happened. "He's gone," Chen said quietly. "We'll make sure he doesn't come back." "Why?" Jennifer whispered. "Why would you do this? You don't know me." Marcus pulled out a crumpled piece of unicorn stationery. "Your daughter's pretty persuasive." Jennifer read Lily's note, tears streaming down her face. "She wrote this? She asked you, oh God, Lily." "She's worried about you," Marcus said. "She's been worried for a while. I thought I was hiding it. I thought she didn't know." "Kids know," Chen said gently. "They always know." "Mom." Lily appeared in the hallway, her eyes wide. "Is Rick gone? Did the biker men make him leave?" Jennifer knelt and pulled her daughter into a fierce hug. "Yeah, baby, he's gone." "Forever?" "Forever," Marcus confirmed. "And we're going to make sure your mom has everything she needs to keep him gone. Restraining order, legal help, whatever it takes." Lily looked at him over Jennifer's shoulder, her small face solemn. "Thank you for keeping your promise. Thank you for being brave enough to ask." 3 months later, Jennifer stood in the parking lot of Betty's Diner at the end of her shift, no longer jumping at sudden sounds, no longer checking over her shoulder every 5 minutes. Rick had violated the restraining order once. Marcus had made one phone call to his police contacts, and Rick had spent 3 days in jail. He'd taken a job in another state after that, encouraged by the very real threat of all that documented evidence becoming public. Jennifer was in therapy, rebuilding her life, learning to recognize the warning signs she'd ignored, learning that she deserved better. "Miss Jennifer." A regular customer called. "Usual table?" "Coming right up, Mr. Patterson." Her smile was real now, not the brittle mask she'd worn for so long. Marcus pulled into the parking lot on his chopper, and Jennifer found herself smiling wider. He'd been checking in regularly, making sure she was okay, connecting her with resources, even helping her install a security system. Somewhere along the way, making sure she was okay had turned into coffee dates, then dinner, then Lily asking if Marcus could come to her school play. "Hey," Marcus said as he approached, pulling off his helmet. "Hey yourself." Jennifer tucked her hair behind her ear, suddenly nervous. "Good ride. Beautiful day for it." He paused. "You doing okay?" "Yeah, actually, really okay." She meant it, for the first time in years. She felt safe. "There's a community barbecue this weekend. Would you and Chains want to come?" Lily's been asking. "That kid asking, are you asking?" Jennifer laughed. "Both. Definitely both." Marcus's smile was slow and genuine. "Then, yeah, we'd love to." Inside the diner, Lily pressed her face against the window, watching her mom talk to the biker man who'd saved them. She'd written a report about it for school, how I got help when adults wouldn't listen, and her teacher had cried while reading it. Mrs. Patterson, her teacher, had apologized for not believing her the first time, had promised to pay better attention when students came to her with concerns, had started training on recognizing signs of domestic abuse. One note had changed everything. Lily pulled out her notebook and started a new letter, this one addressed to her classmates. "If you see something wrong, speak up, even if you're scared. Even if adults don't listen the first time. Keep trying. Find someone who will believe you, because staying silent doesn't keep anyone safe. It just lets bad people keep hurting good people." She paused and added, "And sometimes the scariest-looking people turn out to be the heroes. Don't judge by appearances. Judge by actions." Outside, Marcus took Jennifer's hand as they walked toward his bike. Lily watched through the window, her heart full. She'd been scared writing that note, terrified that the biker man wouldn't care, wouldn't help, would tell her to mind her own business. But she'd done it anyway, because her mom was worth being brave for. And because sometimes when adults fail to protect the people who need it most, a 9-year-old girl with unicorn stationery and a prayer has to take matters into her own hands. The Desert Vipers pulled into Betty's Diner parking lot an hour later, 6 bikes rumbling in formation. They'd heard about Marcus's situation and wanted to show support. The kind of support that came from men who understood that their intimidating appearance could be used for good, that their reputation could protect people who needed it. Jennifer met them at the door with fresh coffee and pie. Her smile genuine, her shoulders unburdened for the first time in years. And Lily sat at the counter doing homework, surrounded by bikers who become her unexpected protectors, learning that courage came in all forms and that heroes really did exist. You just had to be brave enough to ask for help, and observant enough to know who to ask. Marcus looked around the diner, at Jennifer laughing with chains, at Lily explaining her math homework to a biker named Axe who looked terrifying but was surprisingly good at fractions, at the community that had formed around one little girl's desperate plea, and felt something settle in his chest. Purpose, redemption, home, all because a 9-year-old wrote a note on unicorn stationery and wedged it under his windshield wiper. Sometimes the smallest actions create the biggest ripples. Sometimes the bravest person in the room is the one everyone else overlooks. And sometimes justice arrives on 2 wheels with the roar of an engine and the determination to protect those who can't protect themselves.